Hi everyone, this is a series where I'm covering the test fundamentals. So far I've covered why do we test, the different types of testing, white box and black box testing, verification and validation model, the different phases of the software development life cycle, the software testing life cycle, different phases of testing as well, what kind of documents get generated, what is a good test case, how we need to execute, and what are the types of defects which you can find. Apart from this, we also discuss defects, severity and priority. All these concepts are very important before you try to learn a tool like Quality Center. Now, when you must understand that Quality Center is a tool which is a test management tool wherein the same terminology is used, and it's a one-stop shop for test management. So you can load requirements, you can create a test plan over there, create your test scenarios, test cases, execute test cases for a specific release, create multiple cycles in each release, log defects against that test case which maps back to the requirement. So you have coverage. So you're saying that you're looking at a traceability matrix and you're saying, are the requirements adequately covered or not? And finally, defects. So it's a one-stop shop application for test management. So understanding all these concepts is very important for you to learn the tool Quality Center. And Quality Center is extensively used in the software industry because it makes everyone's life easier. You have requirements loaded, you have the test case loaded, you have test data loaded, you can also load your screenshots, and you can link your defect to the requirement level itself, to the test case also, and along with the release. Also, it gives a single place where a test lead can see how many test cases have been executed, it was assigned to whom, and what is the timeline we're looking at the build, etc. So the final part of the series before we start the next one, which is Quality Center itself, is the defect life cycle. So that's what I'm covering in this training session, which is the defect life cycle. So now there is a joke in software testing which says that you start coding and bugs come walking into the application. So you just start coding and there are some bugs because finally it's humans who are coding, so there are lots of errors, and we report the defects in a tool like Quality Center, right? So what is a defect? A defect is a failure in the system which you encounter while executing your test cases, and it is a flaw in the system or a component of a system which causes the system to fail. All right. So what is the process of the defect discovery? You find a defect, you actually have executed a test case, and you found that your expected and actual outcomes are different. So you found a defect, you review it and you report the defect and you acknowledge the defect and get a fix done for it. The defect resolution is based on priorities. You prioritize it, you schedule the fix, you fix the defect and you report the resolution, and thereafter the testing team gets a build with a set of defect fixes done, and the team also does something called regression testing in that cycle. So we discussed what regression testing was. So you ensure that these defect fixes have not impacted the functionality of the other parts of the application and have not inadvertently introduced any new defects into the application, right? So this is the defect resolution process. What is a defect life cycle, right? It first starts at new. It is very important to understand these status in the defect life cycle, because that is what you have to decide and see in Quality Center. So every defect will have these statuses over there, right? So you have new, which is a brand new defect which you have created. Now that defect can be accepted and made open, which is here the second step, or it can be rejected to whatever reason, saying not in the requirements, or the test case is incorrect, or data incorrect, or whatever. Environmental issues. Once it's accepted and the status becomes open, it gets fixed, and after fixing it gets released. after the release we retest it. So it can either be reopened, that is the development team has said that it has fixed it, but the defect still exists. So you reopen the defect and it goes to the same cycle again. If you don't need to reopen it, then it goes to the closed status. So you have new, rejected, open, fixed, reopen, closed, right? Now when you report a new defect, it is tracked through the stages which is new, open, fixed and closed. Now this defect in the new stage can be rejected, or after it has been fixed and released for testing, it can be reopened, right? By default, okay, the defect is assigned a status called new, and if the defect is refused, it goes to the rejected status. Once the defect is accepted and the development team accepts the defect, the status becomes open. After it becomes open, the developer is assigned the defect and he or she repairs the defect and assigns it the status fixed. Now the tester retests the application, ensures that the defect doesn't recur. If it recurs, then it's reopened. If it is actually repaired or fixed, then it's assigned the status closed. So now you can see the path over here, which is new to reject, or new to open, open to assigned, assigned to fixed and then closed, or assigned to cannot fix to reject and closed, or assigned to fixed and then reopened and then back to assigned, fixed and then closed, or a new defect may be deferred as well, because it may be deferred because it is being prioritized for a future release in agreement with the client. Right. Now you can see the life cycle paths here for the defect, which is new, open, assigned, fixed and closed. This is a standard path. You have a status which is new and it can go into reject, or the third point is new and can go into deferred, or it can be a new defect which has gone into an open stage, which is accepted, it is assigned and then it is deferred. Sometimes defects which we log as part of the testing team are not reproducible. So in that case, you can see in point number 5, the defect was opened as a new defect. It has been changed to open, which is accepted. It has been assigned to a developer. However, it cannot be reproduced and therefore it is being rejected. Sometimes developers are not able to reproduce because of certain steps being performed in the test cases. So it may be reopened and reassigned and fixed thereafter. Now the last part of this is step number 7, point number 7, which is a defect opened in new status. It has been accepted and converted to open. Thereafter it has become assigned to a developer. Then it has been fixed by the developer. However, the tester has retested it and there is an issue still, therefore it's reopened and goes back to assigned and follows the entire process again. Okay, that was the defect lifecycle path we looked at. We had a discussion in the previous training session where we decided there are two types of fields in respect to a defect, which is severity and priority. Okay, so severity is how serious that failure is for the system. Okay, so severity level 1 is a showstopper, that there is no workaround for such a defect and it causes the system to crash and corrupts data files or completely disrupt services. For example, you have an email testing email application and you are not able to log in at all. Certain roles are not able to log in, so you can't proceed further. So that's a major showstopper. A high level defect, okay, that is severity high, which results in severely impaired functionality. A workaround exists, but it is not satisfactory enough and causes a lot of delay in testing the functionality. For example, you are testing a banking application and you are unable to create different account types. Okay, The workaround is to use existing accounts already present in the data, but otherwise you'll have to manually feed new accounts in the database, but there is no way you will release this application with such a defect, so it has to be fixed. That's why it's high. Severity level 3, which is it causes a non-critical failure of the system. Okay. And the product can be released with such a defect, but it is better to fix such a defect. For example, the search option is not working in a huge product list screen, so it's not something which will impair you from working. However, it will cause delay or dissatisfaction of the end user, so it should be fixed. A severity level 4 defect, which is a low level severity, it is the significance of this defect is minor. A workaround exists. It may be a formatting output in the formatting error in the printed output. Okay, and you have severity 5, which is very low. Okay, that was the severity for defects which we discussed. Now, how many testers do we need to change a light bulb? Okay, this is just a question offhand. So you don't need any testers for that. Testers just notice the room was dark, so you don't need anybody. Basically, the point I'm trying to make here is that you don't fix the problems. Testers just find the problem. So if the room was dark and the light bulb needs to be changed, it's just going to be pointed out the room is dark and you can't go ahead. So when you find a defect, what do? You report it. Okay, and you create a defect with a correct severity and priority and all the possible steps in a very detailed level way, so a developer can reproduce it and thereafter it can get fixed. So a typical defect report fields in Quality Center or any test management tool has a summary, date reported, detailed description, there is exact steps and the test data as well, assigned to whom. In every project it is already decided when a new defect is logged to whom it should be assigned to. The severity is detected in which version, the priority as well, the status which we have discussed earlier, which is new, open, etc., whether it's reproducible or not, and the screen prints, logs, etc., and whom it is detected by, the name of the tester. Now these defect reports are read by whom? Is read by the development team, the customer support, quality assurance, anyone from the project team, the project managers, etc. So I've covered all testing fundamentals which you will need to understand the major concepts in Quality Center. So see you in the next session. Thank you.